episode of Developing the Football World podcast. The guest is Ashley Jon Healey, who I was very fortunate enough to see in person. Hope you enjoy the episode. Thank you very much for giving up your time and sharing your stories and your experience with us. Really appreciate that. It's fantastic to be able to do this in person. After so long being stuck on Zoom, we're now able to get together and being just down the road. Thank you for having us in this wonderful clubhouse. So pitch is right out there. It's looking really good.
Yeah, they've done a great job. Dan Barnes, the groundsman, done a fantastic job on it. Just been relayed, redone. We're looking forward to getting out there.
So what is it you do here at Eastleigh?
So at the minute, in a nutshell, I run the boys academy and the 16s, prepping them ready for the first years with the scholars, mentally, physically, tactically. I like to think, and then on a flip the coin, and I do the ladies team as well. So I'm the ladies first team manager.
So I doubt any of them are going to watch, but which team do you prefer working with?
That's a tough one.
They're not paying attention, are they?
No, yeah, I reckon a few of them will be. I'm not. Yeah, I think it's a pretty even split. I enjoy what I get out of both teams, and however different they are, different experiences. Both of them offer me the same sort of enjoyment and stress. Should we call it?
Different challenges too, right?
Yeah, 100%.
You've got to wear many different hats throughout the week.
Yeah. You've got to be someone's brother, you've got to be someone's uncle, someone's dad, someone's granddad, different things like that, and that's for both the teams. You've also got to be someone's worst nightmare to get them to work hard as well sometimes. So, yeah, a lot of different things, a lot of different characters I can portray with both the teams. So, yeah.
All those different roles and different dynamics, they obviously test you as a coach, and I complain about it a lot, having to get changed in the car some days, from one session or another. Got so many different pairs of boots, I've got goalie gloves, everything in that car, so much equipment, but I suppose what it does, if I would do PE during the day and then do goalkeeping and then do futsal all in one day, the different areas that it tests me in as a coach, is that you've got so many different ideas and knowledge you can pull together. So I complain about it a lot, but I do like the varied roles.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a good life, isn't it? All these different sort of avenues, but they all tie into one thing, and that's building confidence and progressing really as people and as sports players and football players. Yeah.
I've got friends with much healthier bank balances, but they don't wear shorts to work.
I know what I prefer. Put it that way.
So what were your first steps in the coaching?
I played up until I was sort of 16. No one really that good. You all the time I had trials here, trials there. I did when I was younger, about 13, 14, I had trials for Newport, but I was never that good. Hence why I'm here as a coach. And for me, I tore both my ACLs at a really young age. So overcoming that confidence barrier. But I was still going down to watch my beloved Newport County. And a lot of it for me is the fact that I've been able to watch some really good managers and some really good coaches over my time watching my team. So from the very start, Dean Oldsworth when he was at Newport County, got them promoted into the Conference Premier, to then Justin Edinburgh, who was someone that for me, being stood behind him in the Hazel Terrace at Newport County and Rodney Parade, and just listening to how he spoke to his players, how he conducted himself, not as if the team was an orchestra. For me, that sold it for me, and coaching was everything that I wanted to get involved in. Obviously, Justin's no longer with us, but still the memories and the knowledge that I sort of learned being stood behind the dugouts at that time still will live on, I think, forever with me. And they're really my main drive as to why I got into coaching.
So what was your first role?
First role was when I was 16, just with a local football club that I'd actually played for the season before, and it was an eye-opener. You know, running a youth team, I think it was under 12s, and then went on to the under 14s a year after, and you know, dealing with players, dealing with parents. That was my first real eye-opener at such a young age, looking back, 10 years ago now, actually. You know, and I'm thinking how I got through that, I don't know. There was many times that I'd go home and my grandparents would be the rock that you need, because when you got home you'd have a tough game or experience something that you probably didn't expect to experience. But it was all worth it in the end, and you know, my ambition and my drive sort of drove me on through all that and into the next step, really. Yeah.
What was the next step?
So the next step was university at Southampton Solent, in the football business, football studies and business management degree. There was other options that I could have gone to, but I think had I not have done that, I don't think I would have been where I am today, particularly with the great club that I'm with at the moment. So yeah, it's something that I'm grateful for, that I steered myself in the right direction at the time.
So what was it about Solent or football studies course that appealed to you?
I think it's probably similar to what a lot of 17, 18-year-old lads think of. It's a football course. When you think of university, I mean, I'm the first in my family to go to university, coming from the Welsh valleys, which are difficult to get out of at the best of times.
Well, they're quite steep.
Yeah. If you don't have a very, very quick car, you know, you might get stuck halfway down the motorway to Cardiff. But being, like I said, being the first for my family to go to university and get an undergraduate degree, I saw the bright lights of Solent, the bright lights of a football course, and come for it, really, which I think is what a lot of people do, particularly in that scenario. You know, males and females on the course. It was brilliant. You know, the first day I think there was around 140 people in the room, and you look around thinking everyone's absolutely buzzing with this. You know, being here, about to learn sort of more about the football industry and coaching and different things like that. And I think by the time third year came, there must have been about 65, 70 left. But I think that's something that sort of happens every year with the cohort there. So, you know, you sort of see the bright lights of football, brilliant, and then you actually see the work that you need to put in to get a degree. And it's not for some people, but yeah.
One of the questions I used to get quite a lot when I did football studies was, is it just playing Football Manager all day?
Yes. Being honest, I mean, the amount of times I've sat in the lecture theatre listening to something like, you know, business marketing or something. Sorry to the tutor out there, she's listening, from those years ago. But and you'd look around, and you know, within a 180-degree area of myself, I could see everybody on Football Manager, and obviously I was as well. So, you know, it obviously there are a lot of benefits that come from the course itself, and you learn a lot about the business aspect of football, which was something that I was really interested in at the time. Looking at the branding of a football club, marketing of a football club, even to the extent of sort of like sports journalism and different things like that. So it was good to have my horizons broadened within the realm of football, and not just seeing, you know, a round size 5 football, and that was it. You know, so yeah, it was good.
One of the things I enjoyed most, I didn't expect to enjoy, was I took a module in sports law.
Right.
Found it fascinating, and we had to do a study on when does violence cross the line within sport. So if someone does a Nazi side tackle and the player gets up and punches their opponent, it's a red card, whereas on the street it's potentially
Yeah.
you're going to get in a bit of trouble with the police there. So why is it allowed? One I looked at was Rapid Vienna v Austria Vienna, and the goalkeeper was going to jump up and kick the centre forward in the face when he's going for a ball outside the box, and to look at both sides of why that is and why that isn't potentially criminal was very, very interesting. And for me, that course exposed me to a lot of other areas that I didn't really care about before.
Yeah. No, that's exactly the same. You know, and you see football from a different side. You know, and part of that, I mean, obviously with all the money in football today, we're seeing just today Messi signing for PSG for, I think it's what, 1.1 euros a second, something like that. I think it works out as. Yeah, I know. Yeah. You know, you look at it, and a lot of people that I know fell out of love with the game, and I did for a particular period of time. In the fact that you could see how greedy the top is, how greedy these companies and organisations are, and how they don't have the true voices of the fans behind their decisions a lot of the time. So for a lot of us, it was an eye opener to that as well, and that sort of side of things. And yeah, you know, like I said, a few of us sort of fell out of love with it, but you know, when you're coaching every day, you tend to get back into it pretty quick.
And I suppose from a coaching point of view, it's a people game, isn't it? And so it's the buzz of working with the players. You're making connections, you're building relationships, and you're helping players become better versions of themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at the balance sheets of those mega clubs, and then you see the poverty in them and all the problems we have, how on earth can you justify like 60 quid for a home shirt every new season?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Thousands of pounds for a season ticket to watch your team draw 0-0 every weekend. It's not right, and that's what I got a new appreciation for watching a lot of lower league football. So when I worked at Aldershot watching our home games every week, that few quid you spend on a pie actually goes somewhere useful.
Yeah.
And I felt the same in St. Louis. I go watch what was the USL team at the time. I think, I better buy a hot dog because it pays someone's wages.
Exactly. 100%.
You go to Old Trafford and you buy their brand new 3rd and 4th kit and the winter training wear because your normal training wear has now gone out. And think, who am I making rich? Or a bunch of bellends in their ivory towers. While the idiot selling you is getting paid like £3 an hour.
Yeah, it's funny enough actually. I just got back from Spain myself. Fortunate enough to go with a few friends, and we were in a little town called Vera. Sorry if any Spaniards listening, that's probably a wrong pronunciation of it. More Vera or something like that.
Like Vera Duckworth from Coronation.
Yeah, aloe vera. Yeah. And you know, there's a local club there. I think 6th, 7th tier of Spanish football, something like that. Not particularly high level, and there was a time when myself and my mate rocked up at the gates, and there was a little session going on the pitch. And we actually met the president of the actual club, stood on the door letting people in, and you know, for a little bit of Welsh/English/Spanish conversation. It was brilliant. He gave us a tour of the whole stadium, so the trophy room. We actually saw a picture on the wall, which was him when he was 16, actually playing for the club. And you know, walking around facilities like that, and you get a sense of home.
Yeah.
You know, you're not walking around the corridors where people look down at you. People think, well, it's just another, you know, whatever person coming to have a little nose sort of thing. They actually engaged with you and wanted you to be there to just show you their club. You know, and like you're saying about the hot dogs at Aldershot or the club in St. Louis, when I actually asked the fella, I just said, you know, if you've got any shirts. And at first he said, no, I don't think so. The fella came running down then with a small shirt, literally holding it like that, and said, I've got that. And I was like, that ain't gonna fit, but I'll have it. You know, just a little memento, and to give something to the club. And you think of the tour that the president gave us at the club while he was doing other duties there. it's worth €25 that I spent on the shirt. So it was nice to do something back to people that were so accommodating.
That's lovely, and that's what makes football so special.
Oh, 100%.
When I went with a few mates in Mexico, we had to get our visa in Costa Rica. 3 days we're stuck there, and there's a few football clubs in the capital city, and let's go for a walk. We came upon the stadium for Deportivo Saprissa, and just happened to be first team training on their pitch. So we badgered the security guard until he let us out. Fine, go on, go in. And then training finished, and the goalkeeper coach got us down on the pitch, and we took penalties against him.
Perfect. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
That's what it's all about. Cause we see them on TV playing the CONCACAF Champions League against MLS teams and Mexican teams. Hey, we scored a penalty against that bloke in the dugout. it meant nothing to him. We were just idiot tourists there for a laugh. And he spent 5 minutes with us and given us memories for a lifetime. And
exactly.
Football's brilliant, and that's what we live for. And those little memories like that with great people. So after your football studies undergraduate, you then went and did business management as a master's.
Yeah, I spent a year in China first prior to doing my masters. But in terms of the masters, I thought I would just sort of build upon what I learned over the 3 years before, and the master's degree being that sort of standout, qualification on the CV that may entice other roles further down the line. Not a bad decision really, given the fact that there was only 6 of us on that course at the time.
A lot of one-to-one tutoring.
Yeah, exactly. Compared to the 140 odd that were on the first sort of undergraduate. And when you look at that and you weigh up the numbers, a percentage of people that then would have a master's in a football specific sort of course would be a lot lower, So it's just really about making yourself sort of stand out from the crowd. What can you offer that's different to the person behind you in a job interview or in front of you?
So what was your reason for doing a master's, and did it help that you'd gone away to China in between, give you some real life experience?
Oh, 100%. Seeing actually how things work for a football club based in the UK but expanding itself across the globe was massive. In terms of marketing and branding of the club, like I mentioned earlier, you really see the inside and out of it, and that definitely helped me with my masters. Ideally, I was hoping that the masters would sort of lead to a full-time job in football, as you do when you're young. It doesn't. It stands you in good stead, but it doesn't always end up being the finale that you sort of look for, and there's still a lot of hard work to go. I graduated in 2019, so 2 years ago, with my masters, and still looking to progress now at sort of 26 and 2021.
I found out with mine, it's become the most expensive piece of paper I own.
Oh, 100%.
I got a lot of knowledge from it, but it's one of those things that feels more like a personal achievement than anything that other people necessarily takes it. My CV looks good now, and I know considerably more than I did, so I don't regret doing it. Just I think we have to really consider our options. But so you went to China. What was your first? Because you've been twice, right?
Yeah. So the first time I went was at the end of second year of university, and I went over. I saw an advert online. It was for a coaching company called, I think it was Double Star at the time, and they were based in Hangzhou in China. And it was only a month-long contract, just working with some summer camps and holiday camps, and that was the first real eye opener really for me as a person that had been to Australia prior, which was pretty similar to over here, just for a holiday, and travelled Europe with a family as you do for holidays. It was a real eye opener for me the first month I spent there, at how different the other side of the world actually is. and it was fantastic. A lot of problems, obviously, you know, and as you get when you go abroad. But if you can weather them and get through the first week and a half of going, actually, no, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home, get through that, you settle down and, you know, you learn to sort of enjoy the experience. And that was the biggest thing for me. I left there thinking, wow, I want to come back. Although just working with a company over there that was running holiday camps, not associated with the football club, I managed to get to see Hangzhou Greentown train. So we were staying in the same complex that they use for pre-season. And it was an eye-opener, you know, watching them train, thinking, actually, you know, I'd love to be out here full-time, doing something, seeing it. And yeah, that was really the thing I look back to when I took the second role out there.
So initially, were you out of your comfort zone to go out to China?
Hugely, yeah. I'm from the valleys. Yeah, I was born in Newport. Lived a lot of my childhood in Tonopandi in the Rhondda, Cefn Taff, and yeah, I've never been anywhere so different in all my life.
What were the biggest culture shock moments for you?
The one thing I actually remember was after the long flight. I met up with a few of the coaches that were over there, and subsequently like the bosses that were there that I'd be working for, and we went out to a bar. And the biggest shock for me was when the airplane food started knocking, and I went into the toilets and I saw a hole on the floor. And I can't explain how I felt at that time.
Yeah.
Just looking, going, do I really need to go that much?
Yeah.
And the answer then was no. But as you move on, you know, you learn to live with these things, and you see how different cultures sort of live there. But on the first day, for me, that was the biggest shock. I thought, wow, I am actually somewhere different, you know.
I know it sounds a bit privileged to say this, but I generally can't think of much worse than going all that way and the toilets not being up the stairs.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at squatting. I need to work on my legs a lot, and especially after a long flight where your legs are going to be stiff, that will be horrendous.
Oh, 100%. When I've both my ACLs operated on, so for me, you know, it was just not possible in my head.
A rope or a barrier you can't hold to?
Oh, absolutely not. No, no luxuries like that over there. But yeah, you know, that was the biggest sort of shock for me at the time, and the constant sort of staring of other people. You're walking down the street wearing a pair of shorts and like 15 degrees. For them, that's freezing cold. You know, and you get a couple of looks like, oh, I've got that mug written on my head, or am I wearing like a massive wig? You know, I don't know what's going on. Funny enough, actually, there's a video that my mate done. We stood outside a hotel at like 8 o'clock in the morning waiting for a taxi to work, and we stood there in our gear, all in shorts, and the amount of people that walk past, stop and literally just stare, you know, stop, pull out a cigarette while they stood there and smoke a full cigarette while staring at you. You know, with their cameras out, and yeah, that another one for me that will never leave my mind. You know, actually how different it is over there, and it's not just China. It would be anywhere else, I suppose, that has a completely different culture. But that's what makes it great. It's something different, something that you wouldn't experience over here. You know, in the same environment that you've grown up in, you wouldn't get to experience that. And I honestly think that because of those experiences, you know, I'm a better person for it. And I think a lot of people that would have been in those situations where well out of their comfort zone, and have really been to somewhere so different, they would probably feel the same.
One of the best things about going abroad is that you learn a lot about yourself, and what you like and what you don't like. And I've found from all the different cultures, there are some things I've taken and that become part of me and what I do, and other things no, I've seen it, I've lived it. Objectively, I think this is now wrong, but you become a lot more stronger in your convictions. So
yeah,
you try and read my own writing on this thing. It's hard to do. So I just want to come back. So after that, you had a job in the sports. Sorry, I'm talking out of nonsense here. You had a role, sports coach mentor role. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. For a sports coach company. Prior to that, I spent with different jobs such as enterprise rent a car just to get through. Amazon. You know, you've got to do these things to live, and you sort of look at it and think, when's my next football job coming? When's my next football job coming? Sometimes they don't come for a few months, but when they do arrive, you know, they are worth it. They are worth the wait. But again, speaking about being out of your comfort zone, sometimes you have to do that here. You know, you have to go and work in like for me, enterprise or Amazon. You know, you have to. So it's just about, and I think for me, what actually looking back, the fact that my horizons were broad and going abroad, to then come back and go, actually, well, how bad can it be? You know, just to get me through these next 2 months, 3 months, how bad can it be? And with that attitude, you do get a lot further, and you do get through tougher times, per se. Yeah.
A lot of guys who would do their 9-10 month contracts in the US would come over here and just take any job for 2 months because, well, it don't matter. I'm a football coach. Temporarily, I work at this club, but I am a football coach.
Yeah, you almost have to try, you know, convincing people. You know, I was working for Amazon at the time, and enterprise constantly. Also with other people that you'd meet outside of work. So what do you do? Well, I'm a football coach, but at the minute I work for enterprise. You know, I'm a coach. I've coached here, coached there. I've done this, I've done that. So what are you doing right now? I'm delivering packages for Amazon. But you have to. You know, it's part and parcel of life.
As soon as I got my car at 17, I got my job straight away, delivery driver, worked for my mate's Chinese takeaway. And one of my best mates, absolutely brilliant, his parents were brilliant too, so I was very fortunate to work for good people that I knew. For 5 years, I was driving around a crap little town full of wankers, delivering takeaways.
Yeah.
I was getting rained on, rude customers all over the place. Now, of course, it helped. I go back to the shop, my mate's there, his parents are there, and they're lovely. But every day I dreaded it and just kept thinking, at some point, it will hopefully be worth it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what you need to keep an eye on, isn't it? Is that when you put things into perspective, you need to think about that sort of end goal and what you're looking to achieve in football, for example, or any other sport really, or any other domain in life. You know, if you can keep that end goal, you know, save it as your lock screen on your phone, or print out a poster of it, or put it in your wallet. You know, have things that remind you of it. So, you know, for example, music. There was countless times where I was driving for Amazon delivering packages, and I'd just put on U2 Beautiful Day because it reminded me of football.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought, well, actually, there is that end goal. I can see where I'm going, see where I want to go. But at the minute, I just need to be reminded of it.
What I would use is Live to Win by Paul Stanley. And if you've seen South Park, the World of Warcraft episode, it's the song they use in that montage. So did you have an idea in your head that kept you going?
Yeah, from a very young age. Bringing it back to what I spoke about at the start, and being stood behind really good coaches, really good managers like Justin Edinburgh. I had that in my mind, you know, the Dean Oldsworths of the world, and managing my hometown. One day I'll be there, one day I'll be there, one day I'll be there, one day I'll be there. One day I will be there. Who knows? You know, but you've got to keep your mind tasked on something. Yeah. You know, and for me it was that managing your hometown. One day I won't be stood behind the barrier, one day I won't be, you know, with the county choir listening to the songs, singing the songs. I won't be there. I'll be the other side, you know, and I'll be the one that they're singing about. I'll be the one that they're talking about. Who's he getting in? Who's he bringing in? Who's he getting rid of? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's those things in football that really kept me going through some really, really tough times. Just that clear vision of, I know where I want to be, you know, and if I get there, I'll get there. If I don't, I don't. But I'll try my best.
I like some of the little stages that just feel like you've crossed a threshold. Like when you first time you get given proper kit and you're not wearing your own stuff, and then when you get given brand name kit, and then when you work for a club that people have heard of, and just bit by bit, even if you're working for some non-league club putting cones down, suddenly you've crossed a line. You're now at that next level, and then you just build from there. One more step forward. Keep going in that direction. Slowly but surely. We all love new kit day nowadays. Favourite thing.
Yeah, I think I've got one coming up soon. I think. I'm getting ready for that.
Lovely. I was handing out new training kit at futsal. I was more excited than players. Look how cool this jacket is! Look at this! Just love that. I've got a new kit the other week for Bournemouth. I'm at home trying it on, looking in front of the mirror.
Oh, 100%.
I wasn't quite doing my coaching poses because it was only a small mirror.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I've already done all that. I know what I look on the touchline. And that 89th minute throw in, cricket word in the air, and they go score the winning goal. That was me.
It's good.
Last badge. So, I think come back to this bit, to best to prepare, right? I know that a lot of organisations will fail you for keeping your notes on with you during your assessment, but bollocks, top managers in the world do. You'll often see them get their notepad out, so I'm doing it now. The only problem is, I write like an idiot and I can't read what I've written. Where am I? Right, let's come back to here then. So you had a role at Eastleigh as a Pan Disability Coordinator. What was that all about?
I saw an advert for it on LinkedIn actually, and it was involved with the community arm of the club. It's still going today, the Pan Disability, and it was really at the time it was coaching sort of under 16 Pan Disability players and adult disabled players, and it was brilliant. The most, you know, it was one of those experiences where you gain a lot from it emotionally. I remember the first time we had a fella that was struggling mentally, and I went home and I never bawled my eyes out as much as I have then, you know, thinking we don't know half of what's going on in people's lives, what's going on in people's worlds. But for me to just be there and sort of give an individual an outlook on things, even if it's for an hour, is so powerful, you know, and that's something that sort of, I guess I took from university, that football and community football that itself can be used as a vehicle to, you know, to improve people's social lives and different things like that. I mean, even still today, you know, it's one of those experiences that you'll just never forget. You know?
So is empathy a value you learned from Clwyd?
Absolutely not. I mean, I had Clwyd for 3 years. Different outlook on life, wasn't he?
I learned a lot about analysis from him.
I'm sure. No, you know, for 3 years, I was a student there, and obviously had him for certain things, and his outlook on things is different. You know, I was in Spain recently, as I said, and I met this guy who runs his own scuba diving company, and does free diving. He's project managed on countless different films, and the way that he told me that we were talking about a particular bar, and he said, no, it's not shit, it's different. And he said, if you can change your outlook on things like that, you'll be a lot happier. And that stuck with me straight away. No, it's not shit. It's different.
I'm going to
Yeah.
use that line on Sunday when we get dicked and everything.
Yeah, lose 12-0. It's not shit. We just play differently.
You came second.
Yeah, but it's an important lesson that not to get bogged down in the negative things. I guess.
Yeah.
And that, yeah.
So now let's go back to China. So I have to ask, right? Tranmere Rovers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will be wondering, why are Tranmere Rovers in China?
Oh, I could still ask myself the same question now. They've got a fantastic setup at the minute where they have an international football school. They're not just in China; they're in Brazil, the US, everywhere.
Wow, I did not realise that they had such scope.
Yeah, the international arm of the club. When I was there, run by Matt Hunter. It was phenomenal. The amount of contacts that they had and the amount of sort of like coaching sort of realms that they were in across the globe was fantastic, and I believe they're still in today.
You did say Brazil.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but I think so. I'm
I'm
pretty sure I've seen that on their website.
Having been on the inside, you'll know this better than me. I'm very curious. What is it that Tranmere Rovers could bring to Brazil? Because I know what comes the other way.
Yeah.
But what is it specifically?
Brazil, I wouldn't know. China, a lot of investment from Chinese companies, I guess, into the Tranmere brand. There was a player on trial at Tranmere within the academy whilst I was working there.
So it had a real link. It wasn't just
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah. It wasn't
who
just
they
one
are.
of those links. It was, it was a proper link with set foundations on how it was going to work, different things like that. And it was coupled with a company over there called Little London, who run English lessons and English as second language sort of schools across the whole of Ho-Hot, where I was, which is in Mongolia, which is North China.
So Inner Mongolia is in China.
In China,
But
yeah.
Outer Mongolia is in Mongolia.
In Mongolia, yeah.
And they did it on purpose to confuse tourists.
I think so, yeah. To make sure nobody goes there. But you still get people like me that go there. And some people that don't leave. Like, one of my good friends who fell in love with the place in many different ways and has not left. He's been over here due to COVID, but he's heading back over in the end of this month. So even though it's so far away, there's still so many things that it can bring to people. So yeah, back on to sort of Tranmere's involvement over there. The running of sort of football coaching sessions across a multitude of organisations, from universities to semi-professional clubs, to primary schools, secondary schools. The list was endless, really, of how they were sort of impacting football over there. And the Chinese government obviously got a football plan that they aim to win, or they did at the time, aim to win the World Cup by 2050. And the president over there at the time is putting in a multitude of money to try and build up China's reputation in the football world. So it's not so much about we're going to sign Hulk for 70 million, pay him this, pay him that, to him, to sort of build up football in the area. It's more about working with grassroots clubs, semi-professional clubs, schools, and different things like that, to build up from the bottom, rather than going from the top and hoping it trickles down. As we've learned over here, it doesn't do that. It doesn't come from the top. You've got to build it up from the bottom and build the pathways that way. So that was really their main sort of involvement there. And I'm not too sure whether that's the same in Brazil or countries like that. I highly doubt. But yeah.
I tried to set up the Blackburn Rovers supporters group in Mexico, and so far. There's 3 members, myself, my wife and my father-in-law, but applications are open. So what I like to do is try and create paint a vivid picture. So a lot of people listen to this that have wonderful experiences like yourself to learn about what it's like over there, and I'm trying to do my best to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit, because it's the other side of the world and they speak a completely different language and they eat different food, and people start to worry about this kind of thing. So a lot of people listening to this will probably be quite interested in what it's like to be in China. China's a huge market for football jobs, and it will grow and grow and grow in the next few years, and I think it's becoming a lot more hospitable for football coaches. So what was your day-to-day like working for Tranmere?
I guess like any normal day, wake up around 8, half 8, get in a taxi, speak a bit of Chinese if you can, if not, translator app on the phone, show the taxi driver where you want to go, listen to him babble on for a good half an hour, 45 minutes in Chinese, and not have an absolute understand, not have any idea what he is saying. That's regular, that's common, until you start over 2, 3, 4 weeks picking up different words and learning different words, and then you can kind of guess what he's trying to ask you. Apart from that, one key thing to think about if you're looking to go to China is using Timberdong, which is, I don't know.
So it's like
I don't understand. Timberdong. I don't understand. And as long as you use that, you'll be fine.
So I'm trying to figure out in my head which one of 17 jokes to make about the name Timberdong. I don't know which one to use, they're all so good, but all right.
As long as you know that, you know, you get away from those awkward scenarios where somebody's constantly talking to you and you just smile and wave. I'll get you. Timberdong, and they laugh and they go, okay, and then they shut up. You know, not that you want them to. Because it's quite interesting picking up different words and learning.
I had a similar experience in Glasgow recently.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. But yeah, carried on with the day, the normal day. Like going into a school then, sort of in the morning. The job that I had there, in many cases it could be a scenario of having 100 kids on one 11v11 pitch.
Bloody hell.
With 2 footballs, no cones, no bibs, no whistle, nothing. You know, and at that stage you go, I don't know what to do. And there was a scenario with one of my mates that was over there, and he was asked to pick the school football team. Brilliant, amazing. Yeah, it would have been good if he had any footballs. And so we ended up doing some relay races and sort of picking the ones that looked a little bit athletic and were quick and could run and jump and different things like that, because you didn't have any footballs, you know, and you guess that would be a normal thing to have a session where you're trialling players for a school football team. But yeah, it's mainly just about being reactive to things that happen over there. You can't plan, you can try, but it isn't going to work out. You know, you can try to plan what you're going to do, your session, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, it won't. Let's be frank, let's be honest. You know, things over there work so different. I mean, put it, for example, I was given a school called Tom Fei Lu, and I had a player there who was unbelievable. At the age of like 8, 9, he was the only one in the school that could manage like 10 keepy uppies and different things like that. And
I got to 9 just the other week.
I know, yeah, I got 6. You know, and he was unreal. But on a lot of occasions, he was always thinking about his football. And when it came to after school clubs, I'd be like, I called him Kai, because you can give an English name to think about. Where's Kai? You know, to my translator, he would then ask the children. And he was, he's in maths, catch up with his maths work. So I thought, well, I'm not having that. But I'm here. You know, he's the best player. We need it. So I goes up into the school, into the classroom, the maths teacher there screaming and shouting at him, banging this massive ruler on the desk. And I sort of went, I don't know what to do here. So I said to my translator, I was like, I need it outside. You know, how am I meant to improve football in this school if there's always going to be obstacles and barriers? And I get it, you know, the kid's got to do his maths work. But if he's not very good at his maths work, but he's being forced to do his maths work, why should we take away something that he's good at football? And eventually, after a multitude of conversations between me and my translator, the teacher translator, the translator to me, we got him in. So it's about, you know, just reacting to the different things that might happen and being prepared that if you think that something may happen, it will happen over there. You know, so many different things are sprung on you on a daily basis. For example, no electricity, no water, not being paid on time. It's a common one.
I can relate to that even in England, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So can I. And you know, as long as you're in the mode that it's the experience, it's something different. You know, I'm not having a shit time. It's different. You know, then you can get through it. But you need to be open-minded and you need to be reactive to things.
So the picture you paint of 100 kids on a pitch with only 2 balls, and then having to pick a team based on races, sounds incredibly American to me.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So how do they view football differently to us, and how would you navigate that?
It's a tough one because I guess it's just completely different. You know, football's at the back of their mind in the schools. It's all about results. It's all about doing your work. You have to do this, you have to do that. And then football's irregular. Once you've done it, you can go and play football.
So football's like a reward?
Yeah.
Some schools are like that here. At my school, they would take away the fun stuff and make sure we did the boring stuff first.
Yeah.
And they're making us eat our vegetables before we get any pudding. I think that there's a whole lot of different ranges of different types of intelligence, different types of ability.
100%.
My cousin was not academic at all. When he left school, the next day he starts hanging around with mechanics, doing stuff, and then within about 10 years he then has his own mechanics business.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people thought he can barely even spell the grades he's got, like his F and his E's, and he'll never amount to anything. But he was fantastic with cars, he was motivated, he was driven, and I think there's a mould, and I believe, have you seen the documentary a few years ago called Chinese School?
Right.
They took a bunch of Chinese teachers to a secondary school to work with Year 9 kids. I think it was north of Hampshire, somewhere like Rushmore. And they split the year group in half with the English teachers and half with the Chinese teachers. It was fascinating to see the difference in the methodology, but also in the outcome. And the English way seemed to, over time, it was more like a lowest common denominator approach, like no one's left behind.
Yeah.
But you would almost sabotage the better kids. Whereas in China, the Chinese teachers in that show, it felt like it was adhere to this standard or you're out. And I think there's merit to both.
Yeah, if you could mould the two, be perfect. You'd be in a perfect scenario, but you can't. So you need to take things from both, and it's the same as coaching. You know, the first time I was in China, and I was watching a women's football team being coached by a Chinese coach. It wasn't the best time I've had because there was a lot of shouting, a lot of abuse that I witnessed. I thought that's just wrong, completely wrong. You know, if I could do it, I would do this, I'd do that, I'd do that. And it's just different. It's just different. That's all I can say, really. You know,
So
it's still a lot of word. Magic wand, put it together, maybe it might be better. But
what do you change if you've got that magic wand and you're allowed? Go on. It will give you 3 things you can change to improve Chinese football overall. What are you going with?
Good question. I mean, for me, when I was there, more equipment would be one, I suppose. You know, they're building all these football pitches, have they got the people to go on them? Well, who knows?
It's quite odd, because most of my cones are made in China.
Yeah, no, yeah, but that's where they go. There's none over there because they're all here. You know, it's the same with the bibs and the footballs. Oh, I've got 2 footballs for 150 kids. Nice. Where's the rest of them? Oh, on a plane to the UK. You know, yeah. I guess their ability, the one thing I would change is their ability in schools to open up and see that actually football and sport can aid people. You know, it can be that social change that kids need to go, you know, and build their own sort of social skills, communication, teamwork and things like that. To then put that into application within lessons like maths, help them work out things in the team, and that all comes from sport, you know, and experiences within sport and being part of the team. And I guess as well, the second thing would be that what sort of Tranmere tried to do and build up their grassroots side of it. It was amazing for me. At the time, Wales played China over there, and I was lucky enough to see that game in Nanning. I didn't see the next game, which was against Uruguay. But I was back into school the next day, and what I'd done, I asked the players in the school football team. I said, "Can you name me and write a list of all the players that you see in that game, just to get them to watch it? You know, do they watch it? Probably not. Are they allowed to watch it? Absolutely not. You know, are they doing their homework? But if you tie it into, right, this is homework. You've got to do this." In their mind, they have to do it. It's like their maths work, their science work, they have to do it. So by me giving them the task of finding out all these names of players, it was seen as homework. And the parents would then open up and go, "Oh, you need to do this. You need to do this," or, you know, the teacher's not going to be happy, your football coach is not going to be happy, you have to do it. But actually, the other side of it is that the kids are sat there watching football, enjoying it, seeing what it actually is. A lot of kids over there don't have a clue what it is, but there's coaches over there trying to coach them the basics of passing, moving. Yeah, brilliant, we can all do that. But can you teach them football? And what I mean by football is the wider aspect of it. What is it? What does it mean to fans to go and watch a team? What does it mean for a player when he scores a winning goal? You know, or a goalkeeper that saves a penalty to win the game. You know, and it's all those emotions that, as Brits, we have, but they don't. And those are the things that need to be worked on over there. Is that the emotional side of football, and I guess the social side of it as well. You know, that you can see just from a TV screen.
That reminds me of when I was in Q8. So it's different from culture to culture, and even from group to group. I've worked with lots of groups in England where there's not many football watchers, and it then becomes hard to paint pictures.
Yeah.
So in the US, a lot of kids didn't watch, so it was very, very hard to show them the how and the why. But in Q8, the kids were football crazy.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to explain to them what an overlap was, and they didn't get my explanation. None of them could think of what the word was in Arabic. And I said, "All right, did any of you watch the game last night, Schalke beat Chelsea?" And they looked at me like they were offended. Of course we watched it, coach.
Yeah.
How dare you ask? Of course we watched it. All of us watched it.
Yeah.
All right, remember the second goal, Torres? Oh, that's an overlap? Oh, yeah, we call that, and then they told me.
Yeah.
So suddenly they all knew it. But I didn't have to waste 3 sessions trying to embed that, because they could just remember the game that they all saw on TV last night, and suddenly, session done. We can move on to our next coaching point. So, can you think of a third thing that you get to change with your magic wand? Anything you could implement, you could bring in, any rules you could change?
It's a difficult one, because it's something that I suppose they have been trying to do, bring in more stars over and people that they can look up to. But I guess the one thing I would change is having role models within the Chinese game that young boys, young girls can look up to. You know, could I name a superstar in the Chinese team? No. Could they? No. Could I name a Welsh one? Oh yeah, I'll name you 30. You know. Could I name an English one? I wouldn't like to, but I could. Can they? No. And that's the one thing I would do. If I had a magic wand, the first thing to do would be to add more role models into the Chinese national team for men's and women's football. Having, the history that we have, if you ask your grandparents, who do you look up to? Well, you look Bobby Charlton, John Charles, different players made you fall in love with the game. Made me fall in love with coaching, managers like just in Edinburgh, Dean Aldsworth at Newport, Jurgen Klopp, Brendan Rodgers,
Sam Allardyce.
Yeah.
Big one for me.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Love those.
Mark Hughes.
Yeah, huge.
Sparky. I don't think they have that yet. And that would be one thing that when it does happen, that's when it snowballs. Yeah. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But it's hard to put a time limit like they have done 2050 to win the World Cup when you don't have any superstars yet.
Yeah, it's one of those you've got to kind of see it before you can dream it. That's why representation is huge.
Exactly.
Where are we going next? What are some of your biggest takeaways about what you've learned, maybe about yourself and about coaching from your time over there?
I guess that I can be adaptive and adapt to certain situations.
You improved your squatting technique?
Yeah, 100%. Still working on that. No. But you can be adaptive and to be reactive. You can plan as much as you like. But as soon as you get somewhere and it doesn't work, you have to change. So it's about having that plan B, the plan C, plan D, E, F, G, H. That's the biggest thing for me, I think. Seeing that things can go wrong, things can change, things don't work out as you probably want them to. Have you got another idea of how things are going to go? And relating that to life and football is probably the biggest takeaway that I could have taken from it.
So overall, going to work in China has benefited you?
100%. Might not liked it at the time.
Oh, I complain about Mexico frequently.
Yeah.
My wife used to tell me to shut up and say, why don't you just go back to work?
Yeah. There was a multitude of times where I thought, I'm going to pack this in. I'm done. I just want to get on a plane home, get back to normality. But that's not the reason I was there. I wasn't there to live normality. I was there to do something different and to learn new things. And I did.
So do you want to go to Benidorm or do you want to go to Spain?
I absolutely hate Benidorm. I went there, I stayed there for one night when I was over there just before, and it weren't Spain.
No.
It was like being in Blackpool but with the better sun, a hotter sun, higher temperature.
Did you see a lot of Johnny Vegas lookalikes down there?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, all the time. That's not Spain, where I much preferred where we sort of spent a lot of my time in the district of Almeria and the town there than I did in Benidorm.
How long have you been back over here?
From China, so I came back in 2018, September 2018. I came back to do my masters, and at the same time I secured a role with the under-15s at Eastleigh.
Did you get a reverse culture shock?
Yeah, but I sort of liked it more. Oh wow, toilet. Oh wow, knives and forks. Yeah. I'm not having to think about how I'm going to eat this. I don't know, whatever it is, pizza or whatever. Me and my mate Nathan that I was out there with, we used to like this buffet place, and it was just pizza. We used to go there when we'd had enough of life over there, just to have a little bit of normality. And then the chopsticks, or for like chicken nuggets and popcorn chicken chopsticks. Oh, just give me a fork. And that was one of the things I liked coming back.
I always miss the sarcasm and the piss taking. I think I often joke about how my wife has now, since being in England, got her sarcasm level 1. She's on the pathway. Yeah. But still some way to go to mastery. But you feel like you're in a desert of sarcasm in some places. And several times I'd go on coaching courses in the US and there'd be a few other Brits on there. And suddenly it was like being back home. Yeah. Because you'd be ripping each other to shreds and you'd be in tears laughing at the insults being thrown around. And the Americans couldn't get it. I thought you guys hate each other.
Yeah.
No.
Actually the opposite.
And then you try and explain it. It doesn't make sense to them.
Yeah.
When you explain it, no, because I called him that means I like him. And that horrible joke he made about me, it's because he likes me too. Have you not noticed why we're always together?
Yeah. No, brilliant.
So, what is it like being back at Eastleigh in your current roles?
Brilliant. I love it. We've got the full backing. When I talk about the ladies, we've got the full backing of the club. And with the academy, that's always been there. We're now firmly rooted in the ideas and the plans that the club have. I mean, an example of that is our skipper Leah Shave being part of the promotion for the new home kit here amongst the first team. It's huge, you know, and you look at, prior to coming in here tonight, you look at the under 16 girls that were training out there. That's huge for them.
Yeah.
You know, seeing, oh wow, we're actually a part of something, and that's the whole identity of this football club. Everyone is a part of it, and that's the best part, you know.
Young boys have always had the dream because they get to see stuff. And being so close to stadium. Now you've got you girls who are training just over there, yards away from the stadium, yards away from the pitch, which we all see, and because we're right by the road, aren't we? Quite nice to drive past and back in. It means the whole. It's such an easy thing to do, and a lot of clubs get it wrong when they announce the new kit and they put in their star men's players. And then they bring in some models, and they say, "What the hell are you doing? How could you get something so basic, so wrong?"
Yeah, I like to think that football is changing for the better. So just over the past month, you've seen on Twitter that a lot of clubs are releasing their kits with the ladies team in it. Like Bournemouth, for example, Portsmouth have done it, and that's a step in the right direction. There's still a lot of work to do, but it's a real big step in the right direction for ladies football.
I hope it's not just empty gestures.
Yeah.
But again, come back to that representation. Boys are now seeing women in football shirts regularly, so that hopefully it's going to tear down some of the discrimination when you get them saying like football's not for girls. Well, it is.
Yeah.
Here's a bunch of girls, women playing on TV, wearing the same kit, playing in their stadiums.
On FIFA.
On Football Manager.
Exactly.
But let's not get tennis elbow, pat ourselves on the back. There's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So what benefit is there being attached to a men's club from a perspective of a women's team?
It's huge. You know, we've got the backing of the club. But you can see on social media, our social media guy, the ladies team, Matt, has done a fantastic job in sort of catapulting us from just another Twitter account for ladies football to actually, you know, a lot more followers, a lot more engagements on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, a lot more retweets, likes, and that's what it's about, getting your name out there. And the club have been fantastic in that, in retweeting, you know, tweets from the ladies team. Just this weekend, coming off the back of a 3-2 win for the women in the friendly, the club then retweeting the full-time score and going, another fantastic win for the ladies team. It just exposes that whole side of the club to everything else that the club is doing. You know, 50,000, 60,000 followers that they may have on Twitter for the men's team. Suddenly look at it and go, actually the ladies are doing alright, let's give them a follow, you know, let's go down and watch them at the Silver Lake, let's go see what they're all about. And seeing that it's exactly the same, the atmosphere, you know, the passion that the girls play with, the drive and determination they have to win every game and to be the best person and the best player that they can be. It's the same as the men, you know, it's the same as the men's team. So yeah, that's the biggest thing for me, that just feeling a part of it really does catapult the ladies side of football being associated to the men's team.
Over the last few years, I've seen a lot more people or fans that support the men's and the women's team, and I suppose it's quite handy because you don't have to buy another kit.
Yeah.
But also, you can watch a home game every weekend.
Yeah.
Rather than having to travel away. Yeah, watching football in the ground is so much better than watching it on TV. Because
100%.
the camera follows the ball, you only see a third of the pitch. And one thing I really don't enjoy watching football on TV is you often don't see where the goals come from, because where the camera follows the ball, the movement that created the goal happened off screen. And you'll see a player run down the wing and stop. You know, well, why is he stopping? I can't tell who's in the box. I can't tell who's giving him an option for a switch of play.
Yeah.
In the stadium, I'm able to look left and right. All over. So I love that. Now, women's team get to play on this pitch as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Fully from this season.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge. In terms of our recruitment of staff and players, it's been huge. When you look at it, and our Arsenal play in the WSL, and they play at Bournemouth Wood, National League Club, same as Eastleigh. It's a big stadium. We've got a bigger stadium, better facilities than a WSL team. If that's not something that you look at and go, wow, I want to be a part of that, then I'm not too sure what is. For me, it's a massive pull. You know, every other Sunday being there, standing in the dugout on the touchline, with fans behind me, it's brilliant. You know, it gives you a sense of I've achieved something. Yeah. You know, I'm from a selfish point of view, I've got somewhere. You know,
and that will never be taken away from you.
Never. You know, it's on YouTube. If there's the 2 games that have been streamed, you can see me. You know, strutting along the touchline, making decisions, calling, talking to players, shouting at players. It'll never be taken away. It's there.
Do you ever watch back what you said? Because I do it in photos and videos. If I know our game's being filmed, I try and stay away from the camera, because when I'm looking at the game and analysing it, I often ignore the football and just look, do I look like a knob? Has the camera got me from the right angle? Do I look like I've got several extra chins? Do I look like... There's lots of things I'm often have to get over and get used to it.
I think, I mean, we do post-match interviews here. I don't watch them back. Maybe I should, I don't know. I just don't. Until somebody says, oh, what you said was wrong, then I'll just not watch it back. You know, I'd rather not. I've lived it, I've been there, I've done it, that's it, move on, something else.
I said what I said.
Yeah, rather than sitting back, watching 10 minutes of it going, oh, you know, I wish I'd done my zip up, or, you know, I wish I'd turned to the side more, or suck my tongue sort of the double chin sort of way. You know what I mean?
Right. Stand up straight and look fierce. Who was it? Neil Warnock, that weird chicken step thing he did in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be awful to see that happen to yourself. Well, are you at that stage here where you're starting to get input and feedback from fans?
Not really. No, we have on Twitter. We have a few individuals that are constantly on there, which is brilliant. You know, congratulating the goal scorer, and she'll tweet back saying thank you all the time. You know, and saying I thought so and so played really well today. And on YouTube, when we stream our games, the one thing I do like to do is go back and read the comments. A lot of them in the first game that we streamed, since I've been in charge of the ladies team, it was good for me to go back and see through all my mates just comment on it, up the spits, come on Eastleigh, come on Eastleigh. You know what I mean? And things like that, and I like to go back and watch that. So yeah, that was one of the things I enjoyed.
Well, let me ask you the final question, which is about you, your ambitions. What are your ambitions here? What are your ambitions professionally? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want your obituary to say?
Yeah. Ambitions. The ladies team have just been promoted this season.
Congratulations, that's
Thank
huge.
you very much.
Well done.
The next ambition for that is to get them promoted again. Why not? We've got a lot of momentum behind us at the moment with the cup win. You know, the kit release for the skipper, for example. We're on the back of 2 really, really good pre-season games against opposition in the new league that we've won. So it's just about snowballing that and building up the momentum until we get up again, and then into the National League, which has been a goal of the ladies' arm of the football club for a long time. So in terms of short term, I guess that would be that for me. And in terms of the lads in the academy, I've had two lots of players, groups of players that have gone on to the scholarship, and a few that have gone on to do really well in the club. And it's, for the lads, it will just be about doing that again. You know, that constant cycle of players coming up from the 15s, making sure they're ready then for the scholarship. You know, making sure they're ready as people, as players, and know what to expect when they actually get into the realms of under 18 football, should we call it? You know, an adult football. Short-term goal. Long-term, I'd love.
Wales job.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, I don't know if I could, because I cry every time I sing that anthem. My mates will back me up on that. You know, yeah, that would be the dream. The women's national team manager of Wales would be unreal, or any national team for that matter of fact, and symbolising yourself to a group of people that look like we're doing here, but on a bigger scale. So yeah, you know, I'm open to the future and looking forward to the future and seeing where I go, where I can go, what I can achieve. The same as anyone else, really. You know, and whether that be in this country, another country, then so be it. But you know, at the moment, I'm absolutely settled here. I love the club, I love the surroundings, I love the people in it, and I love what I'm doing. So,
do you like living in Southampton?
Yeah, not an easier yes, I suppose, but yeah, it's a nice city. It's completely different to you know where I've come from. Being in the little village where Final Sam's based off, and kind of handy, I guess, to come into Southampton. It's good.
That is really interesting. Like Final Sam.
Yeah.
Do you ever get the song stuck in your head?
No.
I think I will now on the way driving.
Yeah, on the way home, that'll be in your head constantly. So yeah, you know, those are my sort of ambitions, and that ambition that I spoke about at the beginning of leading my home club out onto the pitch for a game is still there. I'd love to manage my club, Newport. How I'll get there, I don't know. Whether I'll get there, I don't know. But it's like I said earlier, it's about having that primary focus, primary target, and you just build your way towards it.
And it's always one step at a time. Isn't it?
Oh, 100%, yeah. You know, I'm quite far away from it now. Well, I'm a realist. I know some people will be listening to that and going, "That's not going to happen. That's never going to happen." You know, why not? But in my head, I need something. I need a focus. I need to drive. And just these little wins along the way. The past 10 years since I've been coaching, have all chipped away at where I'm going. You know, they've chipped away at the wall. We're getting through. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. And the fun thing about life is that you never know how close you are to your end goals until you stop. So why stop? Keep going. That's what I say.
Oh, absolutely. And like, I wish you the best. Like, it's been really, really enjoyable. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that both of our listeners will get a lot out of this.
Hello to both of you.
Thank you. Seriously, it's been fascinating talking to you, and I really love spending time with people with great journeys like this. And hopefully one day I'll get to see China soon. Got honeymoon books that we keep having to put back.
Beijing.
Shanghai.
Nice.
Yeah, Disney, Shanghai.
Oh yeah, I'd choose Shanghai for Beijing any day.
Yeah.
Completely different city. Really nice. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to it. Looks good on at some point. We'll stop looking at pictures on Google Earth and it's real. But once again, thank you so much. And when I put this out, I'll put all the details on there where people can find it. It's very interesting. I'm sure you'd be happy to answer any questions people got on China and about what you're doing here.
100%.
And I'll keep looking out for Eastleigh.
Yeah.
I'm with Warsash now. We're way down to reform, which is unfortunate. I think we dropped through the division so fast we broke the sound barrier.
Yeah, because they were in the division that we just got into, the Southern Region Prem.
Sinking ship problems exacerbated by COVID and Unfortunately, I had no magic wand and couldn't solve the problems. But
football.
Hopefully we catch you up in a few years
100%.
and get to actually have a game out there. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Or if you feel like winning a friendly 20-0, invite us. We'd love that.
In week under the lights, why not?
Probably even win with 7. Just...
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers, thank you.
This has been brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for listening. We'll have more episodes on the way. If there's anyone you think we should be talking to, put us in contact. We love sharing people's stories. Check out our partners, Projects Abroad, if you want to get some good volunteer coaching in some really top locations. We'll see you again soon.